What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Friday, July 26th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 17:12 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from France. So, in case you haven't heard, there was a massive arson attack targeting France's high-speed rail network earlier this morning, just a few hours before the start of the Olympics. The Olympic opening ceremony just concluded. There were no interruptions caused by this arson attack or any kind of attacks on the opening ceremony. However, this arson attack targeting the high-speed rail network did cause significant disruptions to travel hours before the ceremony began. We're hearing that over 1 million people were affected, and apparently several trains carrying Olympic players were stopped due to the sabotage out of an abundance of caution. We're also hearing reports from intelligence agencies in the West that Iran, Russia, and China are preparing cyber attacks on European infrastructure during the Olympic Games. And the Israeli Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, accused Iran and its Axis of being behind this massive arson attack on France's high-speed rail network. And Israel apparently has intelligence that Iran is planning terror attacks on the Israeli delegation at the Paris Olympics, which includes the Israeli president who will be in attendance. Okay, so Iran is planning something. And NATO released a statement following the attacks stating that NATO would defend France from any kind of attacks, including cyber attacks during the Olympics. Okay, so putting out a warning to Iran, Russia, China, whoever, do not mess with France during the Olympics or it will trigger Article 5. So this is absolutely huge news. And here's a map showing where these arson attacks took place. You can see on every single high-speed train leading into Paris, except the one coming from the southern direction. So they attacked the eastern rail line, the northern one, and the western one. Okay, so this was clearly planned in advance with the goal of trying to prevent people from arriving at the Olympics. We currently have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert. We currently have 3 nuclear war command and control planes, the Boeing E-6B Mercuries, up in the air. And these planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs. And they're also responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. They can issue nuclear attack options to the subs and also the emergency war order, which is the order to launch. So they're very important. And we have 3 of them up in the air. We also have a presidential doomsday plane that left D.C. and is now heading over the Pacific Ocean. This is very strange, and it was aerially refueled over northern Idaho. So I don't know if it's going to Japan or South Korea, but it does appear that it's going to Asia most likely. Okay. We also have 2 aerial refuelers that are currently looping over one of our missile fields in Montana. Okay. The 341st Missile Wing is located right here just north of Great Falls, and we have 2 refuelers flying over it. So very, very strange. And earlier this afternoon, we also had a Combat Sentinel plane airborne over the Midwest. We've seen this plane airborne a lot over the Midwest, and this plane is responsible for detecting radars, especially enemy radars. And when they detect the radars, they can pinpoint their location, and then they can send that information directly to the president and our top generals. There's only 2 of these planes in the entire U.S. military. So if one of them is up in the air, that means something serious is going on. Most likely, Russia had another over-the-horizon radar turned on. Last night on the live stream, there was an over-the-horizon radar on, and I was playing it for everybody who was watching. If you missed the live stream, make sure you check it out. The first hour to 2 hours is where I covered all the latest news, but I'm going to recap everything in this update for you as best as I can. Also, I want to mention that YouTube deleted the Culinary Night live stream. They said that it was misinformation. So what I did was I uploaded it to my Rumble account. Now, some people were saying that they couldn't find it on my Rumble, and that was my mistake. Rumble has a little different of a system than YouTube. You have to actually publish the video twice to your account, which is really strange. So I forgot to publish it the second time. And so even though I uploaded it, it didn't actually publish it publicly. Okay. So it should be working now. I just checked it. Rumble.com/NYPrepper. The stream is there. Also, I'm going to be posting it on my website soon in the coming days. If you want to rewatch and relive that crazy night. This update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the discount, you got to use the link preparewithnyprepper.com. And the link is in the description below this video. But this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life. It includes over 2,000 calories per day, breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks, all contained within 6 rugged water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $200 off or 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. The link is in the description below this video. Free shipping is included. They also have a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running various discounts. And to get to their general store, you just got to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com at the top of the page, and you'll see their general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival products, and they're always running discounts here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, and the link is in the description below this video. And we have some major breaking news coming in from Russia. We talked about this last night on the live stream, but Lithuania is doing a mass evacuation drill this fall. We're also hearing that Sweden is going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be preparing their citizens to evacuate in large amounts in the event of a war, okay? And last night on the live stream, I went over how close the capital of Lithuania, Vilnius, is to Belarus, okay? The capital of Lithuania is literally just 20 miles from the border of Belarus, and Belarus has moved thousands of troops and hundreds of tanks right on the border of Lithuania. So they could literally be in Vilnius within 30 minutes to an hour with their tanks, and there's literally no NATO battle groups in Vilnius. They don't have any NATO battle groups protecting the outskirts to try to block any kind of Russian advance. The nearest NATO battle group is all the way in Kaunas, and there's a small one in Alytus. Both of them are 50 miles to 100 miles away, and they don't have that much equipment there. They only have, I think in one of them, they may have 15 or 20 tanks. In the larger one, they may have 100 or 200 tanks, and that's it, guys. I don't know if they have really any aviation at all, any fighter jets. I don't think they have any aviation, any attack helicopters, hardly any at all. So, they could overrun Vilnius in hours, and by the time NATO reacts, Russia's going to hold all of Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, okay? So this is extremely serious. Now, in addition to this, we're hearing reports that Russia is going to be deploying military hospitals across all big cities in Russia, and these military hospitals will be under the control of the Russian military, obviously. But you don't deploy military hospitals across all your cities unless you're preparing for something big. Okay, imagine if the National Guard here in America, or not even the National Guard, but the U.S. Army started setting up field hospitals in all the cities in America, in all the cities around you where you live, in your nearest city. Imagine the Army came in and started setting up hospitals, okay? That is a sign that Russia is preparing for an all-out war with NATO. Now, in addition to that, if that's not sketchy enough, we also have breaking news that Putin asked all state-owned businesses to relocate east of the Urals this fall, and he asked the leaders of the state-owned businesses, the CEOs, whatever you want to call them, to submit relocation plans by October 1st, okay? Russia also is sending more warships to Cuba this weekend, and the other day, they sent 2 bombers to the Alaskan air defense zone along with 2 Chinese bombers. That was the first time in history that 2 Chinese bombers accompanied Russian bombers to the Alaskan air defense zone. Okay, China and Russia have never sent bombers together to our air defense zone, and China never sent bombers to our air defense zone ever. So this is historic. We also have some major breaking news coming out of Reuters. Reuters is stating that NATO has discovered a dozen early warning signs that Russia is preparing for a full-scale invasion of Eastern Europe. Okay, the Baltics, Poland. This is being reported by Reuters. Okay, so very serious situation. Also, we have the situation in Romania. Romania has now officially summoned the Russian ambassador over these Russian drones that crashed into Romanian territory 2 nights ago when they were trying to attack a Ukrainian port. And instead, some of them went into Romania either on purpose or by accident. And what you're looking at here is a picture showing the wreckage of one of these drones in a forest in Romania close to the Ukrainian border. So this is very serious. We also have this footage that came out yesterday showing Romanian anti-aircraft guns shooting at Russian drones. Okay, so this is a video that was taken from the Romanian side of the Danube River looking towards Ukraine. So you can see this big fireball there. That is from one drone that already went kaboom. And then after that one goes kaboom, you can hear the Romanian anti-air guns. So this is absolutely huge. We now have basically the first instance of NATO shooting down a Russian drone or Russian missile, okay? So this is huge. I think next we're going to see Poland start shooting down Russian missiles that fly close to Poland. But you see how the situation is continuing to escalate and escalate and escalate more and more, little by little. I told you this would happen, and it's not going to stop, and it's going to end in a full-scale confrontation between Europe and NATO. Russia's preparing for it. They're deploying military hospitals across their country. Okay, Putin's relocating all government-run businesses east of the Urals. Okay, so you know why you do something like that? Because most of Russia's nuclear war targets are in Western Russia and Southern Russia. That's where Russia has most of their population. Most of their nuclear forces are located there. Most of their major military bases are there. But in the empty regions of Siberia, you know, there's really nothing there. So that's why Putin wants to relocate them over there in case of a nuclear war. They don't get destroyed. But let me just play this for you. This is historic, guys. This is absolutely historic. This is probably the first time ever that NATO has shot down Russian projectiles, okay?
Stai că mai vine una. Stai că mai vine una. Acum mai vine una.
So that's the Danube River there, and then on the other side where that fireball is, that's Ukraine. So I don't know if these fireballs are from drones that actually hit their target or if they crashed after being shot by the Romanian anti-air guns, but you can clearly see the Romanian anti-air guns in action, okay, firing at these Russian drones over the Danube River.
Ia auzi-o. Se aude.
So you can see those white streaks. Those are tracers. Okay, tracers are special bullets that have phosphorus on them. So when they pass through the air, the phosphorus glows, basically.
Ăștia sunt ai noștri? Ăsta e ghepardul.
You can see right there. So let me just read to you some more details about this. At least one Russian drone crashed on the Romanian side of the border while carrying out a strike against the Ukrainian port of Izmail. According to officials in the NATO member state, there were no reports of damage or injuries. Russian drones have targeted Izmail for 2 nights in a row, damaging a number of buildings and injuring at least 5 people on the Ukrainian side. Ukraine's Air Force said most of the drones were shot down by air defenses. The Ministry of Defense in Romania said fighter jets were scrambled on both nights to monitor the situation, and emergency alerts were sent to local residents to seek shelter as a precaution. Teams of the Ministry of National Defense are currently carrying out investigations in the field in order to search for possible objects that have fallen on the national territory, the ministry said in a statement on Thursday. Okay, so they had to actually scramble fighter jets, guys. I mean, that is absolutely insane. And they had to issue alerts to local residents. Now, a few months ago, or I think a year ago, Romania started to build bunkers along their border with Ukraine so civilians have a place to hide in one of these drone attacks. And here we have official confirmation from NORAD stating that NORAD detected, tracked, and intercepted Russian and Chinese aircraft operating in the Alaskan Air Defense Zone. Here we have a picture of an F-35 and an F-16 intercepting the Chinese bomber, the H-6. Here you can see what appears to be a Canadian F-18, a U.S. F-35, and a U.S. F-16. And here's a closer picture there. You can see the gray F-18 there, the F-16, and then the F-35 in the middle. And then here we have the Russian bomber, and you can see an F-35 and an F-16 there. Okay, so this is very, very serious. We also had a massive solar flare on the far side of the sun 2 nights ago. We had an X-14 class flare on the back side of the sun, and this is the strongest flare since at least 2003, okay, which is just absolutely insane. And if this thing was Earth-facing, we would have had a Carrington event, okay? Probably I wouldn't be able to record this video and upload it. YouTube would not be working. Everything would be down. So it's definitely a sign that our sun is still very active. We need to keep an eye on it. We also had this B-52 return from Romania last night and this morning. Very interesting flight path. It took off from Romania, then it went down to the Eastern Mediterranean, flew all the way to the Persian Gulf, turned around, came back, flew over Jordan and Israel. Then it got aerially refueled just south of Crete, and then it went all the way over the ocean back here to the U.S., and it got aerially refueled over Newfoundland, and then it landed at Barksdale Air Base this morning. Here's another screenshot of its flight path. You can see took off from Romania and went all the way to the Persian Gulf and then back. Very interesting. I've never seen one do such a long flight like that before. Want to show you guys what we have going on right now. We have some very concerning reconnaissance activity off the coast of Lebanon. You can see Forte 15, a US RQ-4 Global Hawk, doing this really dense pattern here off the coast of Lebanon. It's been up here since this morning, just going back and forth, back and forth. And what it's doing here is picking up targeting information for Israel. Okay, it's flying back and forth, gathering info on specific targets, their coordinates, and sending it to Israel. Okay, so this is a sign that Israel is getting ready to start their attack on Lebanon, on Hezbollah. I do believe that Biden gave Netanyahu the green light when Netanyahu visited this week. He should be on his way home to Israel right now. He met with Trump earlier this afternoon. He met with Biden and Kamala Harris yesterday. And then he had his speech to Congress on Wednesday. So he was here in the U.S. all week, guys. Okay, you don't fly somewhere for an entire week unless something really important is about to happen. Okay, imagine if our president flew to Poland for a week or flew to Lithuania for a week. Okay, you don't just do that as a head of state for no reason. Okay, so I think he was probably discussing his war plans with the U.S., with Biden, with Lloyd Austin, with the chief of staff here in the U.S., and he had a whole delegation that came with him too. So they were probably talking about their war plans. I think also Biden finally released the shipment of the 2,000-pound bombs that Israel has been asking for, 1,800 of them. They're definitely going to need those 2,000-pound bombs if they're going to do any kind of serious attack on Hezbollah. And in the event that Iran gets involved and they have to strike Iran, they're going to need those 2,000-pound bombs to strike Iran. Okay, so get prepared, guys. This could all pop off at the same time this fall. Okay, we could have war with Russia. Russia's definitely going to do something soon. Okay, Putin is not relocating businesses to Siberia and setting up hospitals all across Russia for no reason. Okay, NATO's not doing mass evacuation drills in Lithuania and Sweden for no reason. Poland is not building the largest defense line in Europe since World War II for no reason, okay? This is a very, very serious situation. We are literally on the verge of World War III and nuclear war, and the mainstream media doesn't report it to you. They don't want you to know, okay? They don't want you to know the truth, and here we actually have 2 British Eurofighter Typhoons, which is really interesting, just popped up in Jordan, so that's really interesting. But get prepared, guys. This could all happen simultaneously. We still haven't heard anything of Xi Jinping's whereabouts. About 3 weeks ago, it was reported by a Chinese journalist who's usually very accurate and is not a sensationalist that he had a severe stroke about 3 weeks ago. And during the 3rd session of the Chinese Communist Party, he was not able to preside over it as the secretary. So his buddy Kai Ki presided over the meeting. Okay, so that could be a sign that he's sick. All right, we haven't heard anything from him. I mean, it's just really bizarre. So he could be dead. He could be in the hospital. We don't know. But the fact that Biden is dropping out of the race is going to make Putin very insecure because he liked Biden. Okay, because he knew Biden was predictable, he was weak, he knew what to expect from Biden, which isn't much, okay? But now with Trump leading in the polls, I think Putin is scared because Putin is afraid of Trump, okay? So I think he's going to try to make a move now before Trump gets elected, okay? Unless they try to steal the election or something, but there's all kinds of things going on right now. We got this strange assassination attempt against Trump, which I don't believe the official narrative at all. I'm going to be going over there to Butler to do an on-the-ground investigation. I'm going to see if I can get access to the fairgrounds. I'm working on that right now so I can take you guys there and show you everything, and we can, do a more detailed analysis on the ground. But I don't believe the official narrative of that. We also have bird flu cases on the rise. We had this strange global IT outage last week. 2 days ago, there was a pipe bomb found in New York City, white powdery substance sent to a Democrat lawmaker. So, there's so many things that the elites can do, the New World Order can do to postpone the election. They can, trigger some kind of a IT outage, or, we could have another bird flu, or they could start another world war. Okay. So get prepared, guys. Things are really spiraling out of control. Look at all this reconnaissance off the coast of Israel. This was earlier this morning. You have a P-8 Poseidon sub hunter here. You have a U.S. Navy reconnaissance drone, and then Forte 15 all in this area at the same time. So this is clearly a sign that Israel is about to go in. And I want to just recap some things from earlier in the week in case you missed it. We had this NATO reconnaissance drone fly into southeastern Poland, and it was heading in the direction of western Ukraine, and it turned its transponder off right near the Ukrainian border, just north of Przemysl in southeastern Poland. These drones never turn their transponders off when they do recon flights over Poland. They always keep them on, but this thing just disappeared close to the Ukraine border. So I personally believe it went into Ukraine. And we had more massive reconnaissance over Poland last night. Here you can see a Swedish reconnaissance plane, a U.S. reconnaissance plane, a Polish reconnaissance plane, a NATO AWACS plane, another Polish reconnaissance plane, and a Polish border guard plane, all in northern Poland. Okay, and if you missed the live stream last night, about halfway through, I'd say about, 3 hours into the stream, I did a Google Earth analysis of the Suwałki Gap and northern Poland and this part of the world, Lithuania, the Baltics. So you definitely want to check it out so you can get a feel for the terrain here. Okay, so check that out. Here's a closer shot at the U.S. reconnaissance plane. Went around Kaliningrad. We also had a British reconnaissance plane in the Black Sea. Now, 2 days ago, Russia reported that they had to escort one of these away from Russian territory, which is BS because this is international waters, okay? But they released a video of Russian fighter jets trailing one of the British RC-135s, and they sent another one earlier this morning. So they're clearly trying to give Russia the middle finger here. And this is how escalation could happen, guys. If Russia shoots down a British RC-135 in international waters, that's an act of war. That would trigger Article 5. We had a massive amount of aerial refuelers go overseas to Europe last night. Look at this, 5 aerial refuelers going overseas. We had a sub hunter in the middle of the Gulf last night. Look at this, guys. So the hunt for Red October is still ongoing here in the United States. We still have Russian and Chinese subs off of our coastline. We had this American private reconnaissance plane patrolling the Caribbean just north of Venezuela. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said that the only way for the U.S. to withdraw its long-range missiles in Germany is if Russia withdraws from Ukraine. Wow, so strong statements there. He said, quote, only Russia's withdrawal from Ukraine can stop the redeployment of U.S. long-range missiles in Germany for the first time since the Cold War. Okay, so showing some defiance there to Russia. And NATO has identified 6 gaping holes in their defense, according to Reuters. Reuters spoke to 12 military and civilian officials in Europe about the classified plan to strengthen their defense. These holes include shortages in air defenses, long-range missiles, troop numbers, ammunition, logistics, and a lack of secure digital communications on the battlefield. Wow. So NATO has a lot of work to do, but apparently they've built up a force of 500,000 troops over the last 10 years. Okay, this was confirmed earlier this week. NATO has a 500,000 strong quick reaction force. And Kamala Harris said yesterday while meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that, quote, we cannot continue to ignore the suffering in Gaza. We cannot ignore the tragedies in Gaza. Very interesting and kind of a slap in the face to Netanyahu. And Trump met with Netanyahu today, and Trump said following the meeting that Kamala Harris's statement about Israel was disrespectful. My relationship with Netanyahu was never bad. We were always on good terms. And Kamala Harris is refusing to commit to a debate on Fox News against Donald Trump as a and U.S. and British fighter jets launched airstrikes in Yemen as retaliation for the rockets that were launched at a U.S. base yesterday. And there were airstrikes in Aleppo in Syria. And we have some very interesting information coming from NASA. So NASA is claiming that they have discovered the first possible signs of ancient life on Mars. The agency's Perseverance rover spotted what they described as an arrowhead-shaped rock with what looked like veins flowing through it. Scientists determined it featured chemical signatures and structures formed by microbial life billions of years ago. The rover beamed the images back to Earth, revealing crystalline solids left over from water flowing on the surface, and a reddish area that contained organic compounds and an energy source for what could have been microbial life. The science team is now hoping to bring the Cheava Falls sample back to Earth so it can be studied with the powerful instruments available in laboratories. So that is pretty crazy, guys. And a massive dam burst in Russia in the Chelyabinsk region that's in the southern Urals, actually not too far from one of Russia's doomsday bunkers, Mount Yamantu. There's also a closed city in Chelyabinsk. Closed cities are entire cities that are closed off to the general public in Russia unless you have a special clearance to enter them, basically top secret facilities. So here's the video footage. So this is the Kyalimskaya Reservoir, and multiple villages are being evacuated. Okay, so very, very interesting. And here we have pictures of these so-called leopard spots that the Mars rover found that show hard water deposits. Okay, so this is very, very interesting. And here we have another picture here. Here's the rover, the Perseverance rover. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with more updates, but just get prepared, guys. Looks like NATO and Russia are on the verge of war. So, and also it looks like Israel is about to go into Lebanon. So until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.